was a week where everything seemed to fall into place for the Tennessee Volunteers. It started out on Wednesday night when Mississippi State and Vanderbilt were both upset in the opening round of the Southeastern Conference basketball tournament. State falling to a red-hot Georgia team and Vanderbilt looking very sluggish as they lost to Auburn. As we went into Thursday's round, it began to look better and better for Tennessee. In the opening game on Thursday, Kentucky pulled off a big win over Alabama, 101-100. Then later on in the evening, it was Auburn winning over Georgia. Georgia, a team that had given Tennessee trouble in both appearances against the Vols this season. The Vols saw their first action on Friday night against Auburn and looked quite sluggish, frankly. They were tied at halftime, but they came back from a point deficit with 4 minutes left to win rather handily over the Tigers in what was a big game for Tennessee. That advanced them to the finals. Kentucky upset LSU, which was another break for the Vols because LSU was a team that Tennessee just, quite frankly, couldn't handle all season long. That brought it down to Tennessee versus Kentucky, two backyard rivals fighting it out once again. The Vols had won twice during the regular season, and they proved their mastery over the Wildcats once again. Kentucky, who had shot so well, over 60% 2 days in a row, did it again in the first half against the Volunteers, and they pulled out to a 7-point halftime lead. But you had the feeling that if Tennessee could just play a little better defense, things would probably go their way before the game ended. Tennessee started the second half with a quick flurry of 8 consecutive points to take a 1-point lead. Then the game of cat and mouse started. Tennessee held the ball, hoping to pull Kentucky out of their zone defense. Kentucky refused to come out. They brought their zone out far enough to stay within the rules, but wouldn't come out of the zone altogether. Tennessee would turn it over, Kentucky would score, the Vols would take the lead. It was back and forth. The game ended with a score of 55-55 as Kentucky had 4 shots at the basket in the last 5 seconds. None would fall in. Kentucky only scored 11 points in the second half of the game. In the overtime, it was all Volunteers as Tennessee jumped out in front on a Chuck Threets free throw, then a 3-point play by Reggie Johnson, and after that, the Cats could come no closer than 4. It was a wild celebration in Birmingham as the Volunteers cut down the nets and accepted the championship trophy. After the game, Coach Don DeVoe was ecstatic, talking about what his team had done to get there and why they beat Kentucky for the Southeastern Conference Championship.
That's not what they told me.
A lot of key factors, as there is with any team that comes from way back and wins. Certainly the seniors deserve the credit. I felt like at the beginning of the year that Terry Crosby and Johnny Darden had to have outstanding years. And I think that both of them have had outstanding years in their own rights. Terry Crosby has been a yeoman in terms of getting the ball in the basket from the perimeter of the floor. Tonight, he wasn't as consistent as he has been on other occasions, but Terry Crosby's had a fine year. Johnny Darden logged a lot more playing time tonight than he normally does. I think that he was very instrumental in the spurt in which we were pressing Kentucky when we were down 6 and 8 points, and we were able to get back in the ball game. Johnny Darden was in the leading the press at that time, and again, I think that was a turning point in the game. It was early in the second half. We started pressing them, and we got a couple steals. We got the lead, but we were still never able to get Kentucky to play us man-to-man. We wanted to try to pull them out, but they wouldn't do it, and I think it's a real credit to Joe Hall to be able to get his kids to still stay in there, to pack it in with their defense. And when they did come out in the last few, well, in the overtime, we were able to go into our open offense, penetrate, get some shots inside, and of course we made some key free throws.